Sometimes it's not about the writing. Sometimes it's about these hands. What's up, guys? I'm Punso here to do a breakdown and review of chapter 378 of Black Clover, which is known as Friction. And this battle, or this chapter, is all about the battle and the friction of it. I'm excited. So let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Heading me. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do mean to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. Another fun fact, this battle is just crazy action. I mean, there's some character work here, especially towards the end, and I do love what this battle means for both Yuno and Asta as characters, their dynamic overall, their balance as rivals, ultimately the writing behind their balance as rivals, and the nature of both of their fate-breaking union. Like, there's so much in this chapter that is highlighted well. But the main thing that I'm going to be glazed into this entire chapter is Yuki Tabata's choreography, Yuki Tabata's dynamism in drawing, and Yuki Tabata's ability to show a story and show balance through action. So let's not waste any more time. Let's hop right into chapter 378, Friction. So we open up right where we left off at the end of 377 with Yuno and Asta lunging in, ready to give Lucius front and back shots. And we see Lucius posted up. Very interesting that Lucius ultimately still maintains the one grimoire. I was kind of expecting him to develop a more mutated one, possibly one infused with time, space, blood, soul, time, space, blood, soul, bone, and body. As we'll see, he goes on to use notably, this does once again raise the question of how much Lucius is still holding back, or whether or not he has more to give, because notably you will see throughout this chapter he does not use 3 of the magics he should have access to. He will not use soul, he will not use gravity, or space. I just call it space because obviously the reason he absorbs Lucci when he's already the time god is so he can have space and time. He's meant, at least in my opinion, what Tabata was going for with Lucci is to truly make him this almost seemingly unbeatable on this, slow down pencil, this almost unbeatable, nigh omnipotent being with control over time, space, body, soul, blood, bone. Clearly, he meant to give him all that ability, and this chapter will solely showcase the more physical forms of Lucius. Once again, kind of talking about how I feel like this form of Lucius is still technically bound by his humanity. I pointed out the black hair as the coloration of it because it's the only thing on him that still is black, outside of obviously the rings of his eyes and his eyebrows. But we'll go into that more in depth. As we see Yuno and Asta lunge in, Lucius reminds us that, oh yeah, he did nibble on Meli. Or not Meli. He did not nibble on Meli. Meli's still alive down there, chilling, watching all the other battles, and he did nibble on Lucci. And thusly, he has all the raw physical stats of Lucci. And if you remember, Lucci, at least physically, was unstoppable. Even only 50% manifested, the other half of that boy sealed away. He was just a beast, a monster physically, to the point where Asta literally could not compete until he unlocked true DU, which he does not seem to be using here as far as I can tell. And thusly, immediately blitzes, clears the distance. He takes that first step and appears in front of Asta, fist reeled back. Once again, just a fist. He's not actually fighting with any sort of magical abilities just yet, as he goes in and swings for Asta particularly. Now, he swings for Asta here, presumably because Asta is the fall of the world. He is the main issue. Obviously, Yuno himself is definitely implied to be another fate breaker, someone who exceeds the prophecy, but then again, all that's kind of implied to only be because Asta was going to push him so much to evolve. So realistically, Asta is the gargantuan, gaping, massive, unbelievable hole in Lucius' plans. So his bias, his vitriol, his hatred for Asta is all made clear as he reels back with this right hook and slams Asta. Asta does barely manage to block, though, once again showing how much his stats have increased relative to when he fought Lucci. Because if you remember, this Asta, who's not in true DU, would have stood no chance against even a 50% Lucci swinging on him. He needed to unlock a higher state, and this Lucius, who's wielding 100% of Lucci's power on top of his own base physical stats, is at least able to be reacted to by Asta, who does block the hit. However, Yuno takes the opportunity to swing on Lucius now that Lucius has decided to attack Asta. However, Lucius, once again, shows his manipulation of all of his siblings' abilities, as he makes a very interesting construct here. At least to me, it reminds me of the skeleton. It rips out of the ground, tears through, and knocks Yuno away. However, once again, Yuno showing the relativity to Lucius, or at least it's starting off Lucius, just like Asta does manage to block the attack as he was already mid-swing during an attack. He does not get blitzed, he does manage to block it, and then get sent back away from Lucius, whose grimoire has switched sides, but currently is still focused on Asta. As you see, when Asta goes to flip and recover from being knocked away, Lucius raises his hand, and then loads it up for a specific combination of abilities. He uses all three of his siblings' abilities: the body magic of Dante, the blood magic of Vanica, and the bone magic of Xenon, in order to create bone bullets. And the one thing I noticed that I did find strange in the live reaction, when you check it over on Patreon for those $1 a month, you can remember for those $3 a month, I did find it kind of strange that Lucius, despite having all these godly abilities, is resorting to a very physical means of combat. Not only is he mink, but I also, once again, kind of like that for a reason I'll get into in a little bit, but also he's using human things like his body and his bones and his blood in order to create this very powerful and potent attack, to the point where Asta, he genuinely does block it. Note, he takes out, well, he still has the katana out, he raises it, he blocks it, deflects the bone bullet, but once again he gets thrown straight into the ground. So that thing does have a good chunk of force behind it, but that's not time magic. Why not? Well, I thought about it just now, because I'll admit I was going to go down a completely different answer for this. I once again think this plays into the idea that Lucius is still bound by his humanity to a degree that he doesn't understand. Even while he's trying his hardest to become a deity, he's still being human, using human magics born from his human siblings, being very human-esque. Also, he may be resorting specifically to physicals against Asta, something like a bone bullet, which is like tangible and can be immediately negated by anti-magic, because he can't use like regular magic against Asta. But notably, he will not use soul, time, or space magic against Yuno, which I still think is weird. Like, I think that's a little bit strange that he doesn't use it against him. But obviously Asta's there, and Asta still, like I mentioned earlier, is the more pressing threat. Ultimately, overall, while Yuno is powerful and relative to Asta, as we'll see in this chapter quite clearly, it's clear, at least in Lucius's mind, Asta is the more present threat, and that probably forces him to fight on the more physical level without a weapon, which I think is interesting, and with the more physical magics, such as bone magic, which is combined with body compression and the blood force. And we see, while Asta's knocked back, Yuno tears through the skeletal construct that attacks him using his massive halberd. I was about to say, what is this? Because it's not a sword. And he swings, shatters through everything. I love the detail that you can see both his grimoires consistently flipping through the pages. He's pulling out spell after spell after spell, pulling through each of his very deep magic pool. And we see Yuno and Lucius go ban for Yuna. Am I talking about Final Fantasy? I forget which game Yuno from Final Fantasy is from, but was essentially Yuno and Lucius start to go ban for ban. Once again, I do find it interesting that Lucius is also not wielding any sort of weapon. Now, naturally, this could once again be the whole idea that I mentioned in the last review, the idea of simplicity, the purity of it. Ultimately, he's a deity. Why would he need a blade, a halberd, an axe? Why would he need any of that? And then once again, it could play into his arrogance, and also plays into the idea that Lucci himself didn't wield a weapon. Lucius and Lucci, the two big L antagonists, not since the L antagonists are their bad antagonists, but like the two L's, both of their names start with an L, and neither of them wielded weapons. They just are all about them hands. And maybe that's the case, but I also do like the idea that this purity is going so far for Lucius that he's actually maybe doing himself a disservice. If he had a magical weapon of some sort, maybe he could do better against Asta and Yuno, as he's currently just wielding straight hands. Mink. But we see he's once again going physically in against Yuno, not using any other special type of magic. However, you can see that he does seemingly enough have the advantage over either of them individually in the 1v1. Obviously, you can see him consistently staggering Asta with the bone bullets, and or really just his initial punch. And then you see here, while his raw physical force gets blocked, meaning that, hey, that 50% Lucci that showed up, 2 arcs ago now, he gets washed. Yuno spreads that man's cheeks. Of course, he does have, but no, he has star magic. So yeah, Yuno and Asta both genuinely bully that 50% Lucci now, even without their utmost states or being in peak physical condition. Because remember, Lucius is 100% Lucci plus 100% Lucius. So that's absolutely absurd that they got that crept. Lucci got that crept. Considering he was so untouchable, unstoppable, peak of the verse kind of timing when he was out running around in the early 300s. But with it being the case, we see that he does get blocked, but he uses blood from his arm to reach around, jag around the shield, and tag Yuno anyway. Yuno doesn't get impaled here, seemingly enough, but he does get grazed on both the arm and seemingly his torso. Lucius does seem to have the advantage, as notably they haven't done any damage to him yet. Asta, after recovering from the blood bullet he knocked away, he lunges in, and very specifically changes out his sword. Notably, he was using the katana initially, and that ended up leaving him with not enough weight and forced to knock off the balance of the blood bullets, but then he lunges in with the much larger sword. Now, I don't know what this sword is called, and I want to say Demon Dweller, but I feel like that's wrong, as he lunges in with the heavier blade, his grimoire chasing him. And we see that Lucius essentially is forced to multitask, where he may have started to try to put more pressure on Yuno. He blasts through multiple shields, trying to hit Yuno again. Seemingly enough, whiffs Yuno here, at least if this black line is an indication of one of the attacks that went off, and then 2 more bone bullets go out towards Asta. Once again, physical magic that Asta cannot easily negate, but this time, since Asta's prepared for them, he blocks all 3 blood bullets away, knocking them away with his heavier sword, and does not get staggered by them this time, showing that the katana ultimately just wasn't the right move for this kind of matchup, and also showing, once again, further relativity. This man Asta and this man Yuno, they're doing pretty darn decent even if they are generally overpowered. And we see that Lucius is forced into a very specific, very compromising position, as he essentially has to run the 2v1 against 2 people who are at least low end relative to him, if not mid end relative. Like, obviously Lucius is stronger, I would say, but with the 2 of them together, they are clearly on his level and forcing him to do things he wouldn't want to do. Though he is the one consistently tagging them. That's the thing where I would say low end relative, not really mid end relative, because they are doing no damage to him, at least not initially. As you can see, with his bare hands, he's knocking away the largest sword that Asta carries and knocking away the halberd of Yuno, swinging and blocking each of their strikes, fighting them both at the same time. And notably, he's not even looking at Asta. And remember, he can't sense Asta, I don't believe, because he doesn't have magic. So he's legit going off the straight moves and instinct and understanding of both of their fighting styles, and still managing to tag them with just regular human arm length range as they're trying to do damage to him. But you can tell that Lucius, despite seemingly doing so well, isn't actually doing so well, mentally at least. Or at least that's what he believes, as he says, "Wind and storm magic, bursting with the unlimited potential of one loved by mana. And you, anti-magic, which repels all magic of all kinds and obliterates it." We see that despite them being polar opposites, they are actually putting the beats and pressure on Lucci. And one thing I do love here is that both do keep taking these mirror hits. That's why I was glazing their duo dynamic so much in the last review. They mirror each other so well here. The right being struck down or struck at by Lucius, the left being struck at by Lucius. And notably, both of them, while they're clearly under duress, they mirror each other well in terms of their facial expression, and they seem to both be smiling a bit through the pain. Like, I'm not sure if this is me just overreading it, but it seems like they're even having a little bit of fun fighting Lucci and fighting alongside each other, as they seem to grin and bear through the agony that he's forcing them through. And we see that we had some calm little, I call it God of High School choreography because I'm a God of High School glazer. So my apologies for all the people who are like, stop mentioning God of High School. But this kind of choreography is for me. Because we see Asta swing, well, I'm going to keep calling it Demon Dweller, even though I think that's wrong. He swings the heaviest sword. Lucius and Yuno both leap it, but Lucius very specifically leaps it. Yuno seems to fly over it. Asta completes the swing, switches it into his right hand, then yanks out the katana in the same motion, swings again, and then he whiffs the strike he goes for because Lucius dives under, and Yuno seemingly flips over it, and then both of them proceed to lunge in for Lucius, and they start going crazy. They start essentially trying to combo the man to oblivion. Essentially, I think each one of these impacts is them both impacting against Lucius. It goes from white line a black and a white line, so anti-magic and Yuno's magic, to hit, and you can see Lucius finally takes his first hit of damage. As he says, "Their powers obstruct each other. They're polar opposites. So why are they such a good team?" Once again, playing into the main issue that Lucius, and a lot of shonen villains naturally, but Lucius especially has, where he thinks everything can be done by himself. He can maximize all the abilities of his siblings all by himself. Or ultimately, maybe if he had some backup that wasn't himself, and if he was fighting with more people, then maybe he'd be able to do better by separating and messing up their synergy here. But since they're able to work so well together because they know each other so well, they grew up around each other, they have this deep tie and obviously rival bond in order to become the greatest, they are able to put the pressure on and put the beats on Lucius pretty badly here, as we see Lucius bleed, and then both end up getting behind him, showing darn near superiority, but then you could argue this is just like, the teamwork though, amp, and they slash Lucius down. And he declares, ultimately, that he simply cannot see this, as he says, "No, they're each surpassing what the other has imagined, and in doing so, they're surpassing my prophecy." They both hit him down. You see, Yuno keeps the pressure on. He goes in for the swing. Lucius goes to block it. Asta, once again, setting up a low-key, a kind of calm little block string here, throws the sword to get Lucius moving to a different direction that Yuno capitalizes on with the Shri. Lunges in, Yuno whiffs, but Asta comes in with a follow-up. Once again, why I called it a block string. Makes Lucius block. Lucius goes to respond with a punch, only to get hit with that juicy scrumdiddlyumptious Z10, that massive stat amp, which cleaves Lucius and does the first chunk of major damage to him off this little cut on his chin. And we see Lucius genuinely, seemingly feel fear for the first time as he fights these two who are literally shattering fate before his very eyes. And we see, as a hole opens up on his chest from the impact, Saint Spirit Boreas is used on him to just slam Lucius straight into the ground, seemingly destroying him and shattering his horns, shattering his body, and it looks like Asta and Yuno have won. But like I mentioned, we did not see anywhere near the apex of Lucius' abilities. We only saw half of his magical abilities, none of which were actually even his. They were all his siblings' abilities. And while it looks like they absolutely destroyed him, it seems like this may have just been another clone. Like I thought. Or I thought it, but then I got it back against it because he's thinking like this. But then again, it could just be another clone based on how easily it shatters and the fact that clearly by the end of the chapter, the spell does not end. As Belle declares, "Yuno, you did it!" And Asta says, "You leveled up again, Yuno." And Yuno says, "So did you, Asta." Both find that the battle is far from over. And hey, I'll take it. I'm cool with clearing Luigi. I'm cool with the power creep. I'm cool with all that. I'm cool with this W chapter. So, bada bang, bada boom. If you made it all the way to the end of this review, please do me a favor and leave double trouble. Yes, indeed, I said it. Double trouble in the comment section and down below. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon below. You can support me for as low as $1 month. Hey, things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks include the live reactions to every other series I have to review, ad variations of all my videos, and if you become a $12 Patreon or a $12 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, the live reaction for this is 12 minutes long. It's a pretty quick chapter, but still, it's over on Patreon. You become for a member, $1 a month, or member. Gosh, I messed up the outro so badly. But $1 Patreon live reaction. $3 member live reaction. You can get them either way, 12 minutes. But also, I do have a Ko-Fi in the description down below. You can drop 5 beans for a short video, 20 beans a long video, any beans at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching, and hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dag with a Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our sketch tier members: Greyhound, Eternal Flame, Red Wolf 4765, Astro, Super Flame Zero, Brandon Payne, Glacier XC, G Prosper, Planet Crone, and Zeta. And I'd like to give a big old thank you to our line art tier patrons: Sean, Midnight Lord 21, Kirai Void, Kevin Encarnacion, Igneal Lind, and A+A. And I'd like to give a big old thank you to our Ink tier patrons: Fine, Austin Wimberly, A Uchiha, Yuki Ally, and Carlo Alaimo. And then I'd like to give a gargantuan thank you to our digital art tier members: J Warrior and AZ Void. And then I'd like to give a big old gargantuan thank you to our colored art tier patrons: Overlord Zero, Waki Munoz, and Idemokami. And I'd like to give a legendary, top of the line, sublime, sweet mother of mercy, super slopping, juicy scrumdiddlyumptious thank you to our that guy with a pencil tier patron, Calvin Elder.